Okay, so just thought I'd show you the switches that I'm using for this. So this is a simple, you can get these at most electronics stores. It's a little spring return inside of that, single pole, single throw switch, and you've got a lug point either side. It doesn't really matter which way you wire it. If you get it around the wrong way in the Arduino board, you can just switch that around. One's active and one's earth. I don't know which one's which, but I just soldered those up. You can probably see the little solder point lugs there. What I generally do is I just tack some solder onto that, and then yeah, it's pretty easy. I don't have to go into the soldering thing there. So do that for that one. And here's one that I have got ready to go. Now all I've done is solder that up and then put some heat shrink over that just to protect the connection there inside of the yoke, and then splayed those tabs apart. The reason for that was primarily because of the way it sits inside of the yoke when you've got the elevator trim on the back side as well, because of the two connections. Kind of when it comes together, there's a little bit impeding inside the yoke, so just need to splay those apart, but it's pretty straightforward. So that's at that end, and then simply at the other end, for those that don't know, you've literally just got these simple little connection points there again that come that connect directly to your Arduino board, and so I literally just connected those on. That wasn't soldered together, that was literally just wrap the wires around each other and then just tape that up. And I've tested this, it works really well, and that just plugs straight onto the Arduino. One's active, one's earth, and job done. So that was the push to talk. I've got another, obviously on the other side, as I think I've mentioned before, got another sort of on-off switch again. Not quite sure what I'll use that for, but I'll wire it anyway. So yeah, we'll see where I'll use that one. But again, it's a simple on-off. Can use that one probably for some other push to talk or whatever. And then lastly, I've got the elevator trim, which is this bad boy here. And again, this is still a single pole, but a double throw. So it's a spring center. So if you can see that, it springs to the center, but you can go either side. So that's allowing for elevator trim up and down. And this is pretty straightforward. You've got one active, another active, and an earth in the middle. And that's pretty easy. So that's that one. That was it there. All now soldered up with the heat shrink on it. And as you can see, I've got one active red, one active white, and black earth in the middle there. Single pole, double throw. Same thing again on the other side. Just all wired up through to the 3 points on the Arduino, which will connect to my Arduino board. And then that just gets configured. Arduino gets configured in MobiFlight, which I have done previously. Anyway, thumbs up. Let's get into offering this up now and connecting this one up, and then we'll get into the into installing it in the actual sim and show you what that looks like. So I'm at the back of the system now. You can see I've got the dual configuration yoke setup here, which I've got in another video. I'll leave a link for that below. This one's all now installed. I've just put some 100mm increments on the shaft here, just so I can line up this with the pilot one. So I'm about to pull this pilot side out now and configure that, but I'll just take you around to the what is installed already. You can see that through there. There's the co-pilot side all done. That looks really good, so I'm really happy with that. Now I'm about to take out pilot side. A little bit more involved in the pilot side because it fundamentally is the master, and so everything's pretty much controlled from here. So this is the Arduino board that I've spoken of, and you can see where we just connect the push to talks, which is active and earth. And obviously this is a wired through for the push to talk for pilot side as well. So, for co-pilot side as well. So that just simply runs across the common board there into that. So for this one, I've got to do a little bit more because I've got a potentiometer on the back here, and that's obviously for the roll. So when I'm turning left and right, you can see the potentiometers turning through there. So I've got to disconnect this little bracket that I 3D printed a while ago, and then pull that out through that, which is a fairly snug fit into the shaft to stop that from independently rotating. There's not a lot on that. So yeah, to get this all apart, what I need to do is pull this off, and then pull that out the back of that, loosen off the bearing, loosen off the Allen screws to the shaft, take all this off as well, and then pull this through. Don't need to touch this one here. This is the other little configuration that I made to do the what is it, for pitch? Yeah, left, up and down. So literally just another little lever arm here, and that's just a potentiometer that goes on the back. Anyway, that's a different video. Let's get this all apart and get the shaft out and get the pilot side put back in. I thought I'd show you while I got this now apart. I'm just about to take the shaft out of the pilot side, but this was the little design I come up with, was part of my dual configuration here. So that's the literally just you know, those little pipe clamps that you get, which you can tighten on. So that works really well. So you tighten that on really tight, and it's really clamps on nicely to the aluminium. And then because it's got a little slight little offset there, all I did is designed a 3D printed sort of little holder piece there to hold that in. That's a bit of trial and error on that one, but then up to the top there, bracket, which obviously then rotates left and right and connects to the one that's over there. And that just sandwiches in with the one at the back. And again, sorry I can't get around to the back there, but you can imagine I've got the reciprocal of that on the inside of this. Those two just sandwiched together, bolted through, and then that's it. And then you've got your rotation. Anyway, let's get this shaft out. Okay, got the pilot one back in now and fed the cables through. I've got a lot of excess actually, so I'm going to have to reattach those, but they weren't soldered, so that's okay. I'll just cut this back just to give myself a little bit less overhang, so that's all right. I'll do that in a moment. But these clamps, obviously, you know, they can rotate on the shaft, so you got to lining up these yokes, if you can imagine, at the back end to get them level with each other is a bit of a challenge. Fortunately this time, I think with the aid of the incremental, I did 50mm little incremental measurements, as you can see down both sides there, and that was able to line these up laterally that way, which was good. And then literally once one's in position, just went to the pilot side and just positioned that, and there was just some very, very slight tweaking, you know, so, you know, just had to rotate this relative to the shaft just a fraction, just to get that lined up. A little bit of trial and error there, but ultimately now it all locks in really nicely. So I can show you from the back end here. Excuse the lack of light, but there you go there. So both now in, and yeah, I think you'll agree, looking pretty good. You can see those little hanging coils there, comms coils. That's just for show. I'm just going to connect them up to the back end of the shaft, literally to you know, to sort of imitate the comms cabling. So yeah, I'll just glue those to the back, but that's looking much better than what it was before, and these are a lot more solid too. So let's just fix up the back end now. So all I need to do now is, as I said, I'll shorten these cables up and hook them back into the Arduino, and then obviously put the potentiometer back on for the roll, and hook this thing back together, put these clamps back all back together on both sides, and we're done. And then we'll do some testing in the sim, and hopefully it all works well. I've tested all these push to talk buttons before, so, and all these other switches, they should all work fine, but let's see where we go. Okay, let's finish off the wiring up and all the links. So that's it, all now hooked up, all the wires are in. It's going to get some testing on. So yeah, hopefully this all works, because I'll be pissed off if it doesn't. And yet my crude rubber band technology for self-centering, it's not the best, and it's certainly nowhere near as smooth as your production stuff, but honestly, for me, it works a treat, and I'm generally okay with it for the GA flying that I do. It's certainly not precision force feedback, but you know, it does the trick. Anyway, so that's it. Let's get into the sim now and just make sure this is all working the way it should be. We'll do some configuration. Okay, let's have a look at it.